If you crave the unknown, but fear the dark, then Delphi. After dawn is your sanctuary. As the first light of dawn breaks through the night, we embark on a journey into the mysteries that chill the spine. I'm your host, Jason King, and together, we'll explore the stories that lurk in the shadows. Each episode, we unravel chilling tales of unsolved crimes, police corruption, and heart-wrenching disappearances. Imagine a world where over 600,000 people vanished last year alone in the U.S., leaving behind only questions and heartache. Violent crime is on the rise, and the shadows grow longer each day. By joining us, you become a beacon for the voiceless, a light in the darkness. Together, we'll shine a light on society's darkest corners, uncovering the truths that hide in plain sight. From the eerie silence of abandoned buildings to the bustling streets where secrets are whispered, we leave no stone unturned. Tune in to Delphi After Dawn, where understanding is just a story away. Join us and let the journey begin. As we delve deeper, remember that every story has a heartbeat, a pulse that connects us all. We navigate through the labyrinth of human experience, seeking answers and shedding light on the unknown. So prepare yourself for a journey like no other, where every revelation brings us closer to the truth. Delphi. After Dawn is more than just a podcast. It's a community of seekers, united by curiosity and compassion. Together, we can make a difference, one story at a time. Join us and let the journey begin anew. In the shadows of the city, where secrets are commodities and trust is a luxury, one man delves into the minds of the monstrous. Welcome to the world of Jason King, a detective with a mind as sharp as a scalpel and a heart as resilient as steel. Beneath the ordinary scenes of daily life, grim tales of notorious serial killers lurk. Each one, unique in their madness, leaves behind a chilling legacy of victims and unsolvable puzzles. But the twisted minds of these murderers never elude Jason King. With every episode, the stakes rise. Every grim detail, each hideous crime, King peels back layer by layer. In a world where evil is the norm and horror is the narrative, Jason King remains steadfast. His mission? To uncover the dark consciousness of terror. His promise? Justice. This is Jason King's world, where crime is not just confronted, but comprehended. Dive deep into the chilling tales of serial killers with Jason King. Midlothian, Texas. A quiet town. Picture-perfect homes. Friendly neighbors. A place where children ride bikes and families gather for barbecues. This was the world of Missy Bevers. She lived with her husband, Brandon, and their 3 daughters. Life wasn't always easy, but it was good. Missy was living the suburban dream. But this peaceful existence was about to be shattered. On April 18th, 2016, Missy Bevers disappeared. Missy wasn't just a wife and mother. She was a passionate fitness instructor. Her energy was contagious. Her classes were full of laughter and encouragement. Her students were her friends. Missy's classes were a community. But on this day, the gym was eerily quiet. Missy was missing. April 18th, 2016 started like any other day for Missy Bevers. She woke up early, got ready for work, and kissed her family goodbye. Her husband, Brandon, was away on a fishing trip. The girls were still asleep. It was still dark outside as Missy drove to the Creekside Church of Christ. She was scheduled to teach an early morning Camp Gladiator class. Little did she know this would be her last drive. As Missy pulled into the church parking lot, she had no idea that danger lurked nearby. She was walking into a nightmare. The church was quiet. The only sound the chirping of birds outside. Missy unlocked the door and stepped inside, ready to set up for her class. But something was wrong. The church was unusually messy, as if someone had been there before her. News of Missy's disappearance spread through Midlothian like wildfire. The community was in shock. How could this happen in their safe haven? Fear and disbelief gripped the town. Parents held their children a little tighter. Neighbors looked at each other with suspicion. The church, once a place of peace and solace, was now a crime scene. The image of Missy's lifeless body, discovered by her students, was seared into the minds of the community. The tranquility of Midlothian had been shattered. Everyone was asking the same questions. Who could have done this, and why? The police launched a full-scale investigation, determined to bring Missy's killer to justice. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the case remained unsolved. The mystery of Missy Bevers' murder continued to haunt Midlothian. The once peaceful town was now living under a cloud of suspicion. The search for answers had just begun. Back at the Bevers house, the alarm clock rang, but Brandon wasn't there to turn it off. He was miles away, enjoying the peace and quiet of his fishing trip. He hadn't spoken to Missy since the previous day. The last message on his phone from Missy was a simple, "Good morning. I love you." He had read it and smiled, thinking about how lucky he was to have her in his life. As the sun rose higher, Brandon started to get that nagging feeling that something was off. He tried calling Missy, but her phone went straight to voicemail. That's when he got the news that would turn his world upside down. It was a normal Monday morning for the members of Missy's Camp Gladiator class. They arrived at the church, eager to start their week with a challenging workout. But as they approached the building, they noticed something strange. The doors of the church were ajar. Peering inside, they saw signs of a struggle. Broken glass, overturned furniture, and what looked like blood. Panic surged through the group. They knew something was terribly wrong. One of the students, a woman named Christy, cautiously entered the church, her heart pounding in her chest. She called out for Missy, her voice trembling. There was no answer, only an eerie silence that was broken by the sound of her own breathing. Following a trail of destruction, Christie made a gruesome discovery. Lying on the floor in a pool of her own blood was Missy. She had been brutally murdered. The scene was horrific, something out of a nightmare. The news of Missy's murder sent shockwaves through the small town of Midlothian and beyond. The community was both horrified and baffled. Who would commit such a heinous act, and why? The police immediately launched a full-scale investigation. Detectives swarmed the church, meticulously combing through every inch of the crime scene for clues. They interviewed family, friends, and members of Missy's fitness class, desperately searching for any lead that could help them understand what had happened. Surveillance footage from the church showed a shadowy figure dressed in what appeared to be police SWAT gear, walking through the church around the time of the murder. The figure, whose face was obscured by a helmet, seemed to move with an unsettling familiarity with the building. The footage sent chills down the spines of investigators and the public alike. Who was this mysterious figure? And could they be the key to solving Missy's murder? The investigation was just beginning, but one thing was already clear. This was no ordinary crime. The investigation into Missy Bevers' murder was complex and multifaceted. Detectives worked tirelessly, following every lead, no matter how small. They pored over hours of surveillance footage, interviewed countless individuals, and pieced together a timeline of Missy's final hours. Forensic experts analyzed DNA evidence collected from the crime scene, hoping to find a match that could lead them to the killer. The murder weapon, believed to be a hammer found near Missy's body, was also scrutinized for any trace of the perpetrator. Despite their best efforts, the investigation seemed to hit dead end after dead end. The mysterious figure in the surveillance footage remained unidentified, their motive unknown. The lack of a clear suspect and motive only deepened the mystery surrounding Missy's death. As weeks turned into months, the case grew colder, and the hope of finding Missy's killer seemed to dwindle with each passing day. The community, once united in grief and determination, began to grapple with the possibility that justice might never be served. The unsolved murder of Missy Bevers left an indelible mark on Midlothian. The once peaceful town was now shrouded in a cloud of fear and uncertainty. The image of the shadowy figure in the surveillance footage haunted the community, a constant reminder that a killer walked among them. Parents were afraid to let their children out of their sight, and women were wary of going out alone, especially in the early morning hours. The sense of security that had once permeated the town was gone, replaced by an uneasy feeling of vulnerability. Despite the passage of time, the memory of Missy Bevers lived on in the hearts of those who knew and loved her. Her family, friends, and students refused to let her case be forgotten. They held candlelight vigils, organized fundraising events for a reward leading to the arrest and conviction of her killer, and kept her story in the public eye, hoping that one day justice would be served. The first police officers arrived at the church within minutes of the 911 call. They were met with a scene of chaos. The church doors, usually a welcoming entryway, were now a grim portal to a nightmare. Inside, the peaceful sanctuary had been transformed into a scene of unimaginable violence. The students who discovered Missy's body were in shock. They huddled together, their faces pale, their eyes wide with terror. Officers gently ushered them away, their voices soft murmurs of comfort. The air inside the church was heavy with the metallic scent of blood. Furniture was overturned. Shattered glass littered the floor. It was a scene that would forever be etched into the minds of the first responders. In the center of the sanctuary, lying in a pool of her own blood, was Missy Bevers. Her workout clothes, usually vibrant and full of life, were stained crimson. The life had been brutally beaten out of her. The sight sent a chill down the spines of even the most seasoned officers. This was no random act of violence. This was personal. Every surface, every broken object, every drop of blood was a potential clue. The church, now a silent witness to a horrific crime, held the key to unraveling the mystery of Missy Bevers' murder. The investigators, their faces grim, worked with methodical precision. They dusted for fingerprints, carefully bagging and tagging each piece of evidence. Luminol, sprayed across the floor, revealed the chilling path of the killer, a trail of glowing footprints leading to and from Missy's body. The church's security cameras, usually recording mundane church activities, had captured something far more sinister. The footage showed a figure, clad head to toe in tactical gear, moving through the church with an eerie familiarity. The figure, their face hidden behind a helmet, seemed to know exactly where to go. The footage was grainy, but it offered a glimmer of hope in the darkness. It was the first solid lead in the case. The investigators hoped that someone, somewhere, would recognize the figure's gait, their mannerisms, anything that could lead them to Missy's killer. News of Missy's murder spread through Midlothian like wildfire. The community, once a tranquil haven, was now gripped by fear and suspicion. How could this happen in their town, in their church? Was the killer one of them, hiding in plain sight? Theories abounded, each more outlandish than the last. Some whispered about a disgruntled church member seeking revenge for a perceived slight. Others pointed fingers at a jealous rival fitness instructor, driven to eliminate the competition. The internet, always a breeding ground for speculation, exploded with theories. Armchair detectives, fueled by social media, dissected every detail of the case, often blurring the line between fact and fiction. The rumors and speculation, while well-intentioned, only served to muddy the waters of the investigation. The police pleaded with the public to focus on facts, to come forward with any information, no matter how insignificant it might seem. They needed concrete evidence, not conjecture, to bring Missy's killer to justice. The murder of Missy Bevers cast a long shadow over Midlothian. In parents, once comfortable, letting their children play outside unsupervised, now kept them close, their eyes constantly scanning for any sign of danger. The early morning joggers, who used to greet each other with a smile and a nod, now eyed each other with suspicion, their hands hovering near their phones, ready to dial 911 at the slightest sign of trouble. The church, once a place of solace and comfort, now stood as a stark reminder of the violence that had invaded their town. The image of Missy's lifeless body, lying in the sanctuary, haunted the community's collective memory. The peace that had once defined Midlothian was gone, replaced by an uneasy tension. The killer was still out there, somewhere. And until they were brought to justice, the town would never truly feel safe again. Despite their best efforts, the investigators were hitting dead end after dead end. The figure in the surveillance footage, their face obscured by a helmet, remained unidentified. The murder weapon, a hammer found near Missy's body, yielded no fingerprints. The DNA evidence collected from the scene, while promising, failed to produce a match in any criminal database. The killer, it seemed, was a ghost, leaving no trace of their presence except for the brutal aftermath of their crime. The lack of progress weighed heavily on the investigators. They had poured their hearts and souls into the case, working tirelessly to bring Missy's killer to justice. But the closer they looked, the further away the truth seemed to slip. The Bevers family, their grief compounded by frustration, pleaded with the public for any information that could help solve Missy's murder. They clung to the hope that someone, somewhere, knew something, anything, that could help bring their beloved Missy's killer to justice. The grainy footage from the church's security cameras became the focal point of the investigation. It was the only tangible lead they had, a flickering glimpse into the moments leading up to Missy's murder. The investigators studied the footage obsessively, searching for any detail to unmask the killer. The figure, clad in tactical gear, moved with a strange gait. hinting at a possible injury. They seemed to know their way around the church, suggesting familiarity with the layout. The tip line, set up by the Midlothian Police Department, was flooded with calls. Some were well-intentioned, but ultimately useless. Yet amidst the noise, a few tips stood out. One caller pointed the finger at an ex-boyfriend with a history of violence. Each tip, no matter how improbable, was meticulously investigated. They followed every lead, hoping to find Missy's killer. The murder weapon, a hammer found near Missy's body, was analyzed meticulously by forensic experts. The hammer, a common household tool, yielded no usable fingerprints. The brutality of the attack spoke volumes. The killer had gone to great lengths to conceal their identity. Missy had been struck multiple times, causing severe injuries. As weeks turned into months, the initial flurry of tips dwindled to a trickle. The leads, once promising, turned out to be dead ends. The ex-boyfriend had a solid alibi. The militia group was cleared of any involvement, and the anonymous tipster was never identified. The investigation, once a whirlwind of activity, settled into a frustratingly slow pace. Detectives, their initial optimism waning, found themselves revisiting old evidence, re-interviewing witnesses, and chasing shadows. The lack of progress weighed heavily on the Bevers family. Brandon, his grief compounded by the lack of answers, struggled to hold his family together. The girls, too young to fully comprehend the tragedy that had befallen their family, were haunted by their mother's absence. The community of Midlothian, once united in grief and support, began to show signs of strain. The fear that had gripped the town in the immediate aftermath of the murder had given way to a weary acceptance that Missy's killer might never be brought to justice. Despite the lack of progress, the Midlothian Police Department remained committed to solving Missy Bevers' murder. They held regular press conferences, urging anyone with information to come forward. They reminded the public that even the smallest detail could be the missing piece of the puzzle. But the silence was deafening. Someone, somewhere, knew something. Someone had seen something, heard something, or knew someone who was acting suspiciously in the days leading up to Missy's murder. The weight of that silence hung heavy over Midlothian. It was the silence of fear, the silence of guilt, and the silence of a community that had lost its innocence. Until that silence was broken, the mystery of Missy Bevers' murder would continue to haunt the town. A constant reminder that justice had been denied. In the chaotic aftermath of Missy's murder, suspicion often falls on those closest to the victim. Brandon Bevers, Missy's husband, found himself thrust into the harsh glare of the spotlight. His alibi of being on a fishing trip created a distance that fueled speculation. Rumors swirled, whispers of a troubled marriage and financial woes. The police treated Brandon with sensitivity, recognizing his grief. They corroborated his alibi through phone records and witness statements. Brandon cooperated fully with the investigation. The surveillance footage provided a tantalizing glimpse of the suspect, but presented a perplexing puzzle: the missing getaway car. Cameras showed the suspect entering and leaving the building, but no vehicle was seen arriving or departing. This absence fueled theories. Some theorized the killer parked far away and walked to avoid detection. Others speculated an accomplice waited nearby in a hidden vehicle. This suggested premeditation, chilling investigators. Missy's murder was a carefully planned hit. The lack of a getaway car hampered the investigation, depriving detectives of crucial evidence. In today's digital age, our lives are increasingly intertwined with technology. We leave behind a digital footprint with every email, website visit, and social media post. Investigators turn to Missy's online activity, hoping to find clues to her killer. They analyzed her phone records, call logs, and internet history. Delving into her social media, they searched for suspicious interactions. They found harassing messages from an unknown individual, suggesting deep animosity. As months turned into years, the unsolved murder of Missy Bevers cast a long shadow over Midlothian. The town, linked to a senseless tragedy, grappled with grief, anger, and frustration. The Bevers family refused to let Missy's memory fade. They held vigils, fundraisers, and campaigned for information. The police, strained by the case, remained committed to finding Missy's killer. They held press conferences, reminding the public the case was still active. The community rallied around the Bevers family, offering support and prayers. They placed ribbons, put up signs, and shared Missy's story on social media. "5 years on, the unsolved murder of Missy Bevers stands as a stark reminder that even in the safest of communities, evil can lurk in the shadows. The grainy surveillance footage of the killer, their face hidden behind a helmet, continues to haunt the town, a symbol of justice delayed. The investigation, though hampered by dead ends and false leads, remains open. The Midlothian Police Department, in conjunction with the FBI, continues to follow up on every tip, analyze every piece of evidence, and explore every possible scenario, determined to bring Missy's killer to justice. The Bevers family, their strength and resilience tested but not broken, clings to the hope that one day they will have the answers they so desperately seek. They find solace in their memories of Missy, in the love and support of their community, and in the unwavering belief that justice, though delayed, will ultimately be served. "8 years have passed, Since Missy Bevers' life was tragically cut short on that fateful April morning, the sanctuary of Creekside Church of Christ became the backdrop for a brutal crime that shook Midlothian, Texas. Despite tireless efforts, Missy's killer remains at large, leaving behind unanswered questions. The chilling image of the suspect in tactical gear haunts the case. Who was this individual beneath the mask? Was it a random act, mistaken identity, or a personal vendetta? The lack of a clear motive deepens the mystery. The weight of these unanswered questions hangs heavy over Midlothian. The murder of Missy Bevers left an indelible mark on Midlothian. Peace and security were shattered, replaced by unease and heightened awareness. The tragedy highlighted the vulnerability in tight-knit communities. A killer walking unnoticed served as a chilling reminder of lurking danger. Yet, the spirit of Midlothian has shown remarkable resilience. The community rallied around the Bevers family, offering unwavering support. 8 years later, the quest for answers continues. The Midlothian Police Department, in collaboration with the FBI, remains dedicated to solving Missy's murder. They meticulously investigate every new lead, clinging to the belief that a crucial piece of the puzzle awaits discovery. The Bevers family refuses to give up hope. They find strength in their faith, community, and Missy's memory. They continue to advocate for justice, urging anyone with information to come forward. The search for closure continues, fueled by the belief that one day the truth will prevail. In the shadowy underworld of crime, where the ordinary meets the extraordinary, you've been journeying with me, Jason King. We've dissected the minds of some of the most notorious serial killers, peeling back the layers of their darkest secrets. Every shadowy corner we've turned, every chilling confession we've analyzed, has been a step deeper into the abyss. But remember, the abyss also gazes back. So, brace yourself as we prepare to dive even deeper. Next time, we'll unravel a tale so twisted it will make your spine tingle with anticipation. An enigma so intricate it will have you questioning everything you thought you knew. Until then, keep your eyes open and your mind sharp. This is Jason King, signing off.